Hello everyone and welcome back to Sports Today. Now we note for a fact that the Indian cricket team are building up to what is obviously going to be a very important T20 series against Australia. Granted, India did play them beforehand earlier this year, just after the IPL. It was a 5-match series, but now the series assumes double importance for two reasons. One, it's the last series for both of these teams obviously to be playing ahead of the T20 World Cup, and second, you'd want to be carrying in positive momentum going into the World Cup. Now, keeping that in mind, obviously there were a few questions that would be raised ahead of the match, and that's why, of course, we had a press conference where India's batting coach Vikram Rathour was the one who was addressing the media, and he had a few interesting things to say. I'll just be going over some of the things that he was talking about with you guys. One of the most interesting things that he did say was, what he felt would be the biggest challenge for the Indian team going into the World Cup. Now, there's obviously many things which you and I, as spectators, fans, whatever it is we want to call ourselves, would consider, as being a talking point or something that the Indian team need to improve. However, what Rathour said was that the biggest challenge for the team will be how they adapt to conditions to Australia. That's right. And it is an interesting point that he's made, not just because of the fact that obviously conditions in India versus conditions in Australia very different in terms of the kind of pitches that or how you'd expect the pitches to play. However, the other thing that is also worth noting is that this time around in Australia, you're not going to be playing at the time when cricket is usually played, or what we refer to as the Australian summer. It's actually going to be more like springtime, and weather's the temperatures are still going to be a little bit on the cooler side. So how exactly it is that plays into the playing conditions is something that we don't really know, and because we won't really be playing anything beyond just a couple of warm-up matches, it is too hard to tell, beforehand, or how quickly it is that the team can adapt. But the simple fact of the matter is they will have to adapt very quickly because, as I said, it's you're not going to have much in the way of warm-up games. The final series isn't happening in Australia; it's happening in India. So there will be a period of time in which they will have to make that sort of an adjustment, and it'll be a very short window. So in that sense, Rathore made a pretty interesting point when he said that for us the biggest challenge will not be how how our bowling is or how our batting is. More than anything else, it'll be how quickly the team can adapt to conditions in Australia, because that will be key to how successful or bad the World Cup will be for the Indian team. Now, of course, that isn't the only thing that he's talked about, and there were a few other interesting talking points. One of the things he did take or make a key mention of was the fact that he doesn't believe the batting has been the disappointment in recent times. He said that, yes, I agree that we haven't been able to defend scores as well, but we don't think that the batting has a problem with that, because in general, if you look at even the Asia Cup and even the Australia series, India have been putting up par or around par totals when they got the chance to bat first. The problem came in defending those totals, and it came from the bowling side of things. Obviously, we note for a fact that so recently some of our bowlers, particularly Bhuvneshwar Kumar, has struggled for form. So in that sense, it isn't so much of a batting problem as much as it was, at least in Rathour's opinion, a problem with the bowling. That being said, he has backed the bowlers to actually come good, and he also made a very noted point of giving a special mention to Arshdeep Singh, who we note for a fact had been a key part of the Asia Cup team. He was playing a lot of matches at that point, but of course that was also down to the fact that India were missing both Bumrah and Harshal. But at this point, he did say that Arshdeep has done very well in the death overs in the past, so he is in our plans. That is worth noting. And he also, as I said, defended the bowlers. He did say that I won't be harsh on the bowlers, as they were able to push the match till the last over every time. And when we are looking to defend, it's one ball here or there, but of course we're doing pretty well, that's his words, and hopefully we get better. So obviously, as I said, it is worth noting that he does admit the bowling has been more of a cause for concern with the batting. And he did also say that there is of course the due factor to consider when you look at matches particularly happening in the Asia Cup. I don't think that's going to be that much of an issue, of course, in Australia, but we also do know that they haven't really been that good in terms of defending totals, but the batting has for the most part looked good. He does, however, also mention with the batting, he's saying that recently with the batting side of things, the batsmen have been looking to play very aggressively. There's a shift in terms of the kind of bowling, in terms of the kind of approach they're taking. They're looking to play from ball one. They're not looking to really take time to settle. So obviously these are the interesting things that he was mentioning about. That being said, that was a lot of it, or a lot of the talk was about the World Cup. And before that, India will have to do well against the South Africa side that we remember is actually not only a full strength South African team, but who have also been in pretty good form in recent times. So how it is that India do in this, regardless of the fact that India are generally very good at bilateral series, they would want to actually have a good showing against South Africa this time around and go into the World Cup with some momentum, because as I mentioned, South Africa are a pretty strong side. They seem to have all bases covered, and a good showing against them will do wonders not only for India's confidence but also match sharpness. So that is something that definitely India will be keeping an eye out on. What do you guys think? Do you think that India, if they do well against South Africa, will it be important for their World Cup hopes, or does it not matter because they're really good in bilaterals anyway, and the struggle will be how it is that they do in Australia for the T20 World Cup? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share, subscribe, tap the bell icon, leave us a comment, and of course don't forget to follow us on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram as well. Thank you so much for joining us. As always, I've been Sharon. I'll see you all through the day, but bye bye for now.